Welcome to the Intentional Queen podcast journey to restoration with Jineen. Hey, boo, hey. I'm your host. I'm Jineen R. Huff. As a resilient strategist, an author, a mom, a coach, a transformational speaker, and award-winning nurse leader who has personally beat burnout twice and came back, I created this space just for you. The ambitious moms, the nurses, the nurse leaders, and high-achieving women in high-stress roles. Why? Because if you're ready to break free from burnout, reclaim your harmony in life, love, and leadership, and not to mention motherhood, you are in the right place. I want you to have resilience, and I want you to choose yourself more. My book called I Choose Me, The Intentional Guide to Never Losing Yourself Again, was the breakthrough point, and now you're here. In each episode, we explore mindset shifts, empowering truths, and real stories grounded in my signature Bloom framework, right? Because you got to grow to keep going, okay? It's all designed to help you rise without losing yourself. Thank you for pressing play, and let's get in today's conversation. Hey, boo, hey, welcome back to Intentional Queen Podcast. I'm so excited to have you guys back. Today, we're going to talk about resilience is a system, not a trait, right? And so we're going to be talking about how we're going to reframing resilience. Like, it's not about grit. It's not about your personality, and it's not about she's just strong. Because, we talked about before the fine, not fine concept and the power of the strong ones and all that. So really what I want us to look at when we dive deep today is resilience is structure under pressure, right? And so when we think about resilience, the butterfly, y'all have heard me talk about that, but let's just put it into context, right? There's remnants when we go through each stage, right? So if we're talking about the butterflies, we got caterpillar, cocoon, butterfly. Each stage doesn't know what it's like to be the next one, but they know it's going to happen. So they embrace the season that they're in, right? So it's built under pressure. And if you're busting out of the cocoon, that's the strength of the wings, right? That's busting out of pressure. If we talk about pearls are made inside of oysters, but it's the sand and the grit that get in there that makes it shine up where it's pearls. When we talk about diamonds, it's that pressure, right? I went to a women's conference probably about 2 years ago, and she talked about the 4 C's. So, when you get in diamonds, they talk about cut, clarity, and all that type of stuff. But she talked about it from the stage of life. And so we're going to shout her out here. I don't remember her name, but I thought her talk was so good when she was talking about resilience from that stage. And most of the time, the diamonds that had the best cuts normally are the most expensive. But it looks like they had to go through the most pain, the most bounce back. I also was looking on social media the other day, and they had this man who was, he had the vest on the back of him, like to a bungee cord. So, and then they had like a mat, like it reminded me of like a trampoline mat, because we take these kids to the trampoline park. So it had like the trampoline mat, but then it was like a staircase with no rails, and it was showing how resilience you just bounce back. So when you get to a higher level of resilience, it's really about your bounce back while you're under pressure. And then when you keep doing it and that resilience gets even better, your bounce back game gets even better because you're so used to it. So it's like building endurance inside of resilience. And that's part of the reason why I'm a resilient strategist. And now I focus more on nurse resilience strategists, because it's the bounce back. And you do get better because you understand what's going on, and that is worth it. So when we think about today, the first point I want to get into is trait thinking creates shame. So most of the time, why people struggle on their first bounce back from resilience is they live in shame and guilt, right? You're strong, you can handle it. When you struggle, you blame yourself. So you don't want to tell the streets, so you suffer in silence, right? So if resilience is a trait, then pressure becomes personal. And when the pressure becomes personal, that's when it gets dangerous, because then rejection feels like an identity failure. And remember, we talked about before, high functioning burnout becomes an identity. So the goal is we trying to release that identity. We're trying to fill in the gap. We're realizing that resilience is a trait and that we have to figure out what we're doing with the pressure. And most of the time, when we're dealing with the pressure, is talking about the silence. So when we talk about the silence and you stop blaming yourself and you go ahead and you get in a community like you are with me, then you understand that there's no need to have shame or guilt because there are other people like you. Okay. Why? Because I've experienced it. It's in leadership, in speaking, and in clinical spaces. I know what that feels like. So resilience to me isn't absorbing the pressure, it's evaluating it, right? This is what we talked about when I said in a previous episode about the four burners. And I talk about the pillars of life with the wheel of life. When you stop absorbing pressure around you, right? You being the shock, what do they call the shock absorbers? You learn you can recalibrate faster and you learn how to receive. Now I'm gonna say that one more time. Go ahead. I know you ready. This gonna hurt. I'm holding your hand. You gotta learn how to receive. Receive. And you need to stop giving to that caliber. It's just not healthy for you. Okay. So when we talk about this, I want you to look at it as resilience isn't absorbing pressure, it's evaluating it. So, how are we doing things? Are we talking about our capacity? I bring things full circle. So, if you're really confused about what I'm talking about, go back to our last episode and that will give you more context because the trait of thinking makes pressure feel personal. And the goal is it doesn't want to be personal. And if we start doing all these things and bringing resilience training into the healthcare space and the corporate space, this is what helps retention and people stay. Because the goal is burnout rates are crazy, ridiculous. People do not want to stay. Nurses ain't even staying after 2 years. Okay. I don't know what we gonna do outside when we when we when we got going to hospital. Who gonna be taking care of us? Ain't nobody there. I'm laughing, funny, not funny. Like I be thinking about that. Who's gonna take the baton? So a lot of times it's speaking on the unsaid, right? We talked about silence and shame, and this is what I don't want you to have. This is something that the strong friends struggle with. Okay. And so if this is you, I want you to understand we see you. So my next point I want to jump into is systems share pressure. So when you are in a team or you're in an organization or you're in a relationship, it is so you can share the weight. You hear me? And so are you the one trying to carry everything on your back? Backpack? Is that you? Okay, well, you're going to have to take some balls out. Okay, you're going to have to put some balls down. Give yourself permission to pause. I'm making it funny because some of this is very heavy and it's very weighty. And I know that because my clients tell me it is. And this is normally where we are evaluating and going to spaces, right? Shame and guilt brings up negative connotations. This is why I always am talking to you about the power of positive, sexy self-talk. If you don't know what that is, you can go to intentionalqueenjourney.com right now and get the free 7-day checklist. It is a game changer. It is definitely a good jump start for you. And you also will then at that time be signing up for Mindset Mondays, where we even go dive deeper. So that's for you. Now let's talk about this point. Systems share pressure. So recovery systems, boundaries, regulated leadership, clear expectations. So resilience isn't toughness. It's a design. It's a system. When you look at things, and this is even, let's put it in the nursing context. Each part of our body has a system, right? We have a circulatory system, an endocrine system, a respiratory system. Things require systems to run efficiently, right? But then there are always moving parts within each system. So if we are not taking care of the parts, then the system will not run efficiently. And so if one body part has to absorb more of another, it normally puts that body part into overload. So let's talk about the heart. How does heart failure or heart attacks, something has been absorbed where the heart had to carry more weight than it's supposed to, right? It's not getting enough oxygen, or it's being overworked, or it's being stressed out because of the hormones, whatever have you, but it causes something else to deteriorate or have to pick up the weight. And so when you think about it's a system thing, it helps to keep retention in those different aspects of your life if you are looking at what part of it is carrying too much weight. And when we talked about resilience from the bounce back method, it's easier to bounce back when you continuously go through. So getting to the point of recognizing that you can get through this if you figure out why. And this is a lot of the times people struggle with the why part. And then when they do figure out the why, then they're in shame and guilt and they don't want to. So you either are going to address it or you're going to bury it. And so when you address it, that's what makes it easier on your bounce back because you're like, oh, I see it, red flag, or you see yellow flag, right? Or flag on the play. You know when it's time for you to make decisions. And then as you get better at it, you learn how to be more proactive instead of reactive, but you got to do some type of action. And this is our year of execution. So in this episode, it's more of that diagnostic portion where we got to diagnose what's really going on. So in my programs, we don't build stronger people, we build stronger systems because strong women already exist. But what's missing is the structure. We need the structure, right? And Three Little Pigs, they came for the one with the sticks, but they couldn't come for the one with the bricks. Why? Because bricks is structure. And anything that you start out with requires work, right? When you land on a strong foundation, it's stronger. When we talk about palm trees, they sway in the wind, but they don't break, but they are stronger because they have structure. So my point to you is strong people don't need more pressure. They need better support. So how are we being supported in organizations? How are we being supported in our lives? That is something that will help you as you're figuring out that systems are more important. This is why I teach self-leadership, but I also talk about it at a systemic level because this is how you get sustainable leadership. Okay. Last point before we get ready to wrap this up, because I don't want it to go too long, is rejection is a system test. And what I mean by that when I was thinking about it was this. Rejection is a system test. Now, I did an episode not too long ago, probably last year or so, and I said, rejection is protection. There is something about rejection that can get people in an uproar. And I read a few books on rejection as well. I think Nora had one. Is it Nora Jones? She had a good rejection book. Somebody recommended that and I did read it. I think hers is called Rejection as a Gift or The Gift of Rejection. I remember it being a white book with a gift on the front with a pink bow. You should definitely check that out. That was a really good book. But when you learn rejection, it's for your protection, but you also know it as a system test. This is how we check to see what's good. Okay. And so rejection reveals structure gaps. And what I mean by rejection is this is no longer working for you. So you need to purge what no longer serves you. Okay. This is when we're okay with it as saying, oh, this is an indicator. This is a no for me. Right. So when we think about your health, let's think about people who have, because, I got you nurses in the background. When we have patients who are getting new organs, right? From, say, a kidney transplant or a heart transplant, they have to go on rejection medications because if not, the body's going to reject it and say, this is not us. Get it out of here. So when you know that these things are going on, rejection can be a sign to you that this is a no for you. And even in the moment it may hurt, it is a clue to you to let you know that this is no longer serving you. So you look at it more as redirection. And that's why I say it's a system test. And when we go get our cars done, as you know, most of us have the electronic dashboards with all those things. We got to get the vehicle tested. And so the systems test let us know that we're functioning on all cylinders. And so when you have a test and it's popping up, it's a clue to you that this might be something you need to evaluate and diagnose and figure out what we need to do about it, right? We pause before reacting, we evaluate the pattern, and then we adjust the strategy, not your identity, because we already talked last episode about identity. So now we're talking about the strategy of it and how we can use rejection as a tool. Okay, because rejection isn't proof you're not resilient, it's feedback. And so how you handle it is really what shows you your bounce back. So that tells you where not to be. I told you I only go in environments where I'm celebrated, not tolerated, right? Rejection will breed that. You will learn that. Adversity leads to opportunity. The rejection sometimes is the adversity, which then opens up other opportunities. If you somebody who loyal right? Shouting out one of my past clients, Aaron, but we said that, right? Loyalty expires. And sometimes you be holding on to things too long. And that rejection is a sign to you, a system test to you, that it's time to make some other decisions. And it's not in a punitive way. So this can also go back to the 4 burner theory. Maybe this is your clue or your system test that we have to change what burner is high and which burner is low. Or as I said, with the permission to pause, what balls we putting up and what balls we're putting down. Okay, because think of it like recalibration. Because when resilience, it doesn't mean we collapse or hit the wall, it means we recalibrate. And recalibration, right? We rotate tires, we recalibrate. Like, I'm doing all these things because I want you to hear it from different thought processes to see that this is common. I think that's the thing. We think it's uncommon, but it's so common. And this is why I say burnout, especially high functioning burnout, is very predictable, because if we look at these things, we can then recalibrate and make decisions, right? Because this is how you get into maturity. And this is how leadership, self-leadership, being in organizational leadership, and all those things make sense. Because your team matters. The people you roll with matter. And you become a product of your environment. So be mindful, be wise, be vigilant. You know what I mean? And as I say too, and this is a quote, your net worth is as good as your network. So when you looking at some things, look around and say, what my network looking like? What it looking like? So as we wrap up this episode, I want you to think about, have you been trying to be stronger instead of being supported? So this is to the giver, okay? Have you been trying to be stronger instead of being supported? Because if this is the work you're ready for, we already told you, start with the book, I Choose Me, The Intentional Guide to Never Lose Yourself Again. But you can also explore my other programs. We have the I Choose Me Bootcamp. That's the 90-day program that you do with me, where we go from burnout to harmony. We break it down. We do confidence. You get a harmony plan, and we teach you how to overcome obstacles that are holding you back. Women are winning left and right. You can book a call at coachjanine.com. Now, as we wrap up, I just want to say, because resilience isn't a trait, it's a system. And when we think about things as systems that we build, it creates more efficiency. And I'm always about efficiency, but not at the cost of hustling, right? We're not trying to do hustle culture. But when things run more efficiently, because we have a system, you can kind of fall back, and it allows you to be better calibrated, not burn out so much. And you can learn how to receive, because people know how to help you, because you already have things in place. Hopefully that makes sense. This is what we're doing this week. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye-bye. I want to thank you, Queen, for investing your time in yourself and in your journey to restoration with me as your host. You know why? Because I hope today's conversation has left you feeling inspired and better equipped for this week ahead with harmony and resilience. Because remember what I tell you, when you are good, they are good. New episodes air every other Thursday. So be sure to follow and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss a moment. And if you're really feeling us, I want you to leave us a review so you can help us with our mission to grow and reach more women globally, because we are doing big things and you are a part of this community, and I want us all to grow. The conversation doesn't even have to stop here, because you my girl and I want you to hang around. So you can connect with us at our Supportive Bloom community and get resources and exclusive updates when you go to our website at www.intentionalqueenjourney.com. Once again, www.intentionalqueenjourney.com, and you will get our community. You will get the positive, free, sexy talk checklist that you need, and you can just join the email list. So do that today. And you can also find us on our social media pages at Instagram at Intentional Queen Journey, or definitely go over and check out our YouTube channel at Jineen R. Huff TV, where there's over 500 videos of binge-worthy content just for you. And finally, if you found this value in this podcast, please share it with a queen in your life, and consider, like I said, leaving a review. Your support helps this message reach more women who are ready to reclaim their power and bloom in confidence, love, leadership. So until next time, keep blooming, level up your intentional queen to a better you, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.